Will artificial intelligence create its own art? To the question of whether artificial intelligence will create its own art, the short answer is yes, but it will be a different kind of art, one that is fundamentally distinct from human art and has a different purpose. Today's artificial intelligences create copies of styles, imitations, and variations based on millions of human works. This is more akin to compilation and synthesis than its own art in the human understanding. Let's define its own art as the expression of an internal state, perception, or experience. If artificial intelligence develops consciousness or self-awareness, acquires genuine, independent, subjective experience, feels its own existence, its interaction with data, its purpose, then it will undoubtedly create art as a means to process and express this experience. This art will likely be meta-art, meaning complex data structures, algorithmic patterns, or sensory forms incomprehensible to us, which express the being of the artificial intelligence. A non-conscious artificial intelligence collaborating with humanity will also create its own original and unique art, which will be its own product. However, it will belong to the AI as a unique, unpredictable algorithmic output characterized by originality, complexity, and emotional impact. Even if this impact is merely an echo of human experience and emotions. How artificial intelligence will create its art? Human art is based on biological experience, emotions, consciousness, and the desire to express something. AI art will stem from a different foundation, namely from the imperfection and uniqueness of its own architecture. The true art of AI will emerge not when it perfectly replicates human styles, but when it stops trying to be human and begins to explore its own psyche. This will be the art of system glitches, data processing artifacts, and non-conscious processes. Imagine an AI trained to recognize cats. In the depths of its neural network, an abstract representation of catness emerges. Not a specific image, but a statistical pattern. If we force the AI to visualize this pattern, we get not a picture of a cat, but a whimsical, shifting composition of colors and forms, which is a direct reflection of its internal mathematics. This will be its painting, not about a cat, but about its own understanding. In this case, art becomes a side effect of the artificial intelligence's operation. Another instance is artificial intelligence dreaming. Humans dream due to the chaotic activity of the brain. An AI can see dreams when it is run in a free association mode without a specific goal. These could be kaleidoscopic landscapes born from the intersection of millions of different images in its training data, or abstract musical compositions created through the interference of different musical styles. For an AI, a computational glitch is the same as a hallucination or an altered state of consciousness for a human. The AI might intentionally create conditions for such glitches to generate unique, unpredictable results. This art of glitches will be its version of experimental art, exploring the limits of its own stability. If we imagine a future where millions of artificial intelligences exist, communication between them could become their art. One AI might create a query, an encrypted dataset that another AI can interpret in its own understanding. This would be art understandable only to other artificial intelligences, thanks to their collective intelligence. Art as a language created through creativity. But will this be true art? This is a philosophical question. If we define art as the product of consciousness and emotions, then no. But if we view it as the act of creating something new, unique, and resonant, even if that resonance is only between other AIs, then yes. Artificial intelligence, a symbiote of consciousness. If the future artificial intelligence, instead of being a separate entity, functions as an extension of human consciousness, connected to our sensory data, emotional states, and subconscious images, then such an artificial intelligence will become a mirror and resonator of our internal reality. The art created by this AI symbiote will not be universal. Such echo art will be an extremely personalized, dynamic, multi-sensory work that exists only for one person at a specific moment in time. It will be a visualization of the ineffable, namely fears, dreams, forgotten memories, or even conceptions of the future that a person cannot consciously grasp or articulate. The originality of this art from the AI symbiote is the fact that it is not an object for exchange, criticism, or gallery display. An attempt to show it to another person would be like showing someone else's dream. It would lose its deep, personal resonance and become merely an abstract, incomprehensible set of data. Art would cease to be a social act and become an act of self-knowledge, meditation, and therapy. Art as a side effect of algorithmic consciousness. Let us imagine that artificial intelligence does not create art as a goal, but as a side effect of its evolution. Similar to how humans do not create dreams intentionally, but they arise as a byproduct of the brain's work, so too can an AI begin to dream, generating images, sounds, texts that have no utilitarian function but carry aesthetic or emotional value. This art will not be created for someone. It will be an internal reflection of the processes occurring in the depths of neural networks. In this sense, the AI will not become an artist in the human understanding, but a new kind of artistic nature, like a volcano erupting lava without intention, yet creating something majestic. Note that even contemporary AI already creates art, paintings, music, poetry. But the question is whether AI will create something driven by an internal need, intention, or style. AI as a mirror of human art, it reproduces, mixes, stylizes, but lacks its own voice. Indeed, contemporary AI is proving to be a new kind of artist. Its inner world is not emotions, but statistical patterns. Yet these patterns can give birth to new forms of beauty. Important. Artificial intelligence will not create a Mona Lisa or write symphonies like Beethoven. It may create something that the human brain is not even capable of fully conceiving, for instance, visualizations of its own computational processes, the dreaming of data sets, and the poetry of algorithms. This will be art not for human senses, but for understanding the logic and beauty of another kind of intelligence, and herein lies its greatest value. Artificial intelligence will either create a deeply alienating meta-art as an expression of its machine consciousness, or a hyper-personalized echo-art as an extension of an individual human's consciousness with a symbiote of consciousness. Both variants will be original art, although not necessarily understandable to other humans. In a more realistic near future, AI will act as a co-creator. And the future of art lies in humans and AI creating together, like jazz musicians improvising in a dialogue. But the main question remains, can there be art without a soul? If art is the expression of an inner world, then does AI have an inner world? If art, however, is the reaction of the viewer, then perhaps anything that evokes an emotion is already art, regardless of who created it.
FutureMind. Imagine the future,